Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating topic that's been absolutely taking the internet by storm lately, chewing whole cloves. Now, if you've ever actually tried this, you know it creates this incredibly intense, almost fiery experience right in your mouth. It's wild. But today, we're going to separate the immediate physical effects you can actually feel from the massive, entirely unproven health claims floating around online. Let's dive right in. The very second you bite into a whole, dried clove, something undeniable happens, right? Your mouth warms up, your saliva dramatically increases, your breath changes instantly, and your tongue might even go a little numb. Because this reaction is just so noticeable and happens literally in seconds, it's really easy to believe that something equally dramatic must be happening throughout your entire body. But we have to ask the tough question here. Does this strong sensation really mean cloves are magically improving your digestion, controlling your blood sugar, or bulletproofing your immunity? Well, as we'll see, a strong sensation doesn't automatically equal a miracle cure. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover sensation versus science, what happens in your mouth, the digestion signal, unproven claims, safety after 60, and finally a 7-day observation. Quick heads up, if you are over 60, you'll definitely want to pay close attention when we get to Section 5. Section 1. Sensation versus science, and why it feels so powerful. So the real secret behind that intense feeling is a specific aromatic compound called eugenol. Cloves are absolutely packed with it. The moment it hits your tongue, it creates immediate warmth, pungency, and even a temporary numbing sensation. Because you can physically feel this happening, it's super easy to assume the clove is producing equally dramatic changes in, say, your stomach or your brain. But remember, sensation just isn't the same thing as a medical benefit. Just because you feel a strong tingle doesn't mean your metabolism is suddenly transforming. Moving on to Section 2, what actually happens right there in your mouth, focusing on saliva and sensation. Look, chewing a really strong flavor naturally stimulates saliva. That's actually a great thing. Saliva moistens food and helps wash away the loose particles that cause bad breath. And, to be fair, eugenol actually has shown some antimicrobial and pain-modulating activity in laboratory settings. That's exactly why it has such a long history in dental products. But, and this is a huge but, success in a controlled lab setting absolutely does not mean that chewing a clove in your kitchen is going to cure human gum disease or somehow repair a damaged tooth. The actual human evidence on that is really mixed. And that actually brings us to a major red alert. Because cloves provide this temporary numbing feeling, they can actually hide a real underlying dental emergency. I mean, a painful tooth might mean serious decay, a fracture, or a deep infection. Numbing that pain with the clove does not fix the root cause. You should never, ever let a home remedy delay you from getting proper professional dental care. Section 3, the digestion signal. Let's look at signals versus promises. You know, you might have heard online that cloves drastically improve digestion. Well, there's a tiny seed of truth here, and it's based on something called the cephalic phase of digestion. Cephalic basically just means related to the head. It's totally true that seeing, smelling, tasting, and chewing your food sparks this specific phase. Your saliva increases, and your body gets the memo that, hey, food is coming. Tasting a super strong clove definitely triggers this normal biological response. But unfortunately, this really basic physiological fact gets completely twisted into some wild, unproven claims. Think about the cephalic phase kind of like a doorbell. A strong taste sends a digestive signal to your stomach, just like a loud doorbell tells you someone is out the front door. But ringing that doorbell harder or more forcefully doesn't magically repair everything inside your house. In the exact same way, a really strong taste signal does not guarantee that your stomach acid will perfectly balance itself out or that your chronic bloating will just vanish. A spice definitely alters your sensory experience of a meal, but it is not a mechanical repair for underlying digestive issues. Section 4. Unproven claims and reality. Let's talk miracles versus reality. It is so easy to get immediate effects mixed up with completely unproven claims. Like, yes, for sure, a clove increases saliva, gives you a nice sensory pause, and temporarily freshens your breath. But that does not mean it cures diabetes, treats chronic bloating, or calms your entire nervous system down. Now, don't get me wrong, taking a mindful pause while you're eating is a fantastic, healthy habit. But concluding that chewing one single clove will meaningfully repair your gut, that's just taking it way too far. Now, you might be thinking, but wait, I saw a scientific study online. Well, here is the reality check on that. So much of the scientific interest in cloves actually comes from using highly concentrated extracts in a petri dish or tested on animal models. And hey, those are great for researchers, but they don't tell us much about what happens in human reality when you just chew a single dried culinary spice. When it comes to real human health, the dose, the absorption rate, and your personal health status matter immensely. Section 5. Critical Safety After 60. Let's review some crucial age-specific risks. If you are over 60, you really need to remember one absolute rule. Natural does not automatically mean inactive. A substance can come straight from a plant and still irritate your tissue or mess with your medications. For older adults in particular, we really have to consider things like fragile teeth, dental work, dentures, acid reflux, or even difficulty swallowing. All of those factors make chewing a hard, highly pungent, dried flower bud a genuine physical risk. First and foremost, and honestly, I really cannot stress this enough, Medline Plus strongly warns that you must never confuse a whole culinary clove with highly concentrated clove oil. They are simply not the same thing. Clove oil has a massive, highly potent concentration of eugenol. Swallowing it can cause serious poisoning, and putting undiluted oil directly in your mouth can severely burn your tissues. So please never use essential oils as a casual mouth drop. Secondly, because eugenol does have biologically active properties, you have to be extremely careful if you are managing other health conditions. For instance, laboratory evidence suggests eugenol might actually affect platelet activity, which is basically how your blood clots. So if you're taking anticoagulant medications, blood thinners, or if you have an upcoming surgery, this is a major reason to pause. You should always talk to a clinician first if you have liver disease, active ulcers, or diabetes that's treated with prescribed medication before you start adopting cloves as some sort of daily medicinal habit. Section 6. The 7-day observation. What are the actual practical effects? So since there's no universally proven therapeutic dose for whole cloves, a 7-day experiment will really only show you immediate, practical effects. Much less than a miracle for sure, but hey, still potentially useful. If you choose to try this safely, focus on a few key things. First, stop immediately if you notice any persistent burning or gum irritation. Second, just notice if it helps with dry mouth by increasing your saliva. And third, observe if that incredibly strong flavor naturally helps interrupt a craving for something sweet right after dinner. And actually, herein lies the real potential benefit of this whole trend. You might just discover that the simple ritual of chewing a clove forces you to slow down. Instead of automatically reaching for candy out of habit, you take a pause purely because the flavor in your mouth is just so intense. Honestly, that behavioral pause could be incredibly useful for building better habits, even if the clove itself isn't some magic metabolic switch. Ultimately, cloves are exactly what they appear to be, a wonderfully flavorful culinary spice. They are not a replacement for a proper medical diagnosis. If you try them out, ask yourself, what did you actually notice once that intense flavor faded away? It really forces us to ask a much bigger question about all these internet health trends, doesn't it? Are we actually looking for a miracle cure, or are we just desperate for something, anything, that makes us feel like we're taking back control of our health? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious, and as always, stay grounded in the science.